today we're going to be talking about homeless students, especially inside of Austin, so AISD, Buda, surrounding areas. So, what classifies as a homeless student? A homeless student is classified by anyone who does not have a normal, stable, permanent home at night. They say at night because generally these students are going to be with us at school during the day, and so we're really looking at what happens when they go home or a lack thereof. So here are some statistics on homeless students. Since 2008, the number of homeless students identified by public schools each year has increased by about 90%. So approximately 680,000 to 1,305,000, and this is in the 13-14 school year. So it's not too long ago. It's not super updated. I'm also kind of wondering, I was not able to get a lot of information about Corona. So U.S. public schools have enrolled and served more than 1 million homeless children and youth each year. That is across the whole country. And so if you divide that by about 50, that can kind of give you an idea of where each state is. 1 in 10 young adults ages 18 to 25, so this is after high school, and at least 1 in 30 adolescent ages 13 through 17, so this is middle and high school, experience some form of homelessness unaccompanied by a parent or guardian over the course of a full year. 33% of these children have once been a part of the foster care system, and 69% of these homeless youth report mental health problems for obvious reasons. Not having a stable home can definitely put a huge toll on your health. And I'm sorry, my son is in the background if we hear some background noise. So, what are some laws that have been put into place to help these students? The biggest one is the McKinney-Vento Act. It requires that all homeless children be given the opportunity to achieve to challenging state academic standards. So pretty much what this law says is that they're giving options to these students, especially when they're in high school. They're given choices, and so when they go in to see a counselor or a principal or whatever, it's the law to give them opportunities to be able to finish high school instead of just dropping out. No Child Left Behind is also a law that exists for homeless students. It gives support system and financial help to these school districts to help these students. Head Start is for the younger students, and so before kindergarten, if you have a student that starts at about 3 until they hit kindergarten, they're able to participate in a Head Start program. Often it can be in an elementary school, or it can be in like a daycare that's accredited. IDEA is enacted to ensure learners with disabilities, and being homeless is considered a disability, and so IDEA helps protect them under that law. And then the Children Nutrition Act helps ensure families from low-income households to have access to free and or reduced meals. For instance, where we live, because of the school and the demographics in my son's elementary school, every single child gets free meals. We don't have to pay for anything, even though we wouldn't qualify for free or reduced lunches. So all of these things are really, really, really important for these students, and it really does help save lives. Intersectionality. So what are some other things that homeless students can be struggling with while they're homeless, before they're homeless, after? Here are some things. If they're kicked out of the house, that is something, so they may not have family support, and they may not have people to be able to go home with. There's a big LGBTQ plus community in homelessness, and it's kind of for that same reason, that if they come out to their family and their family doesn't really approve, then a lot of times they can be kicked out or they can run away because they don't feel accepted. There's a big minority population in homeless children and people in general. Teen parents, for the same reason that I said earlier, if they don't feel supported, if they don't feel loved, they can either run away or get kicked out, and so, or they just don't have a stable household because they have a baby and they just don't know where to go. Undocumented students, they kind of, for the same reason, they don't have stability. Their families are trying to figure out what to do, where to go. And drug users. So, kind of for the same reasons that I just said. Okay, and I'm gonna turn on a video.
My name is Grace Wright.
And my name is Malik Ali Kashan.
We're homeless
Where am I gonna stay for the night? Like, what am I gonna eat? Like, so much stress.
and kind of hard moving around.
Life is hard, really.
We're living with someone else because my mom got evicted from where we lived at, and the lady, she was nice enough to let us come into her home and stay with her till my mom found a new apartment.
Me and my mother had a little miscommunication, and one word led to another. I don't want to get too deep into it because I still love my mother, but it just wasn't right at the moment, so she just kicked me out.
I didn't think we were gonna make it through. I thought I was gonna have to drop out. I wouldn't be able to go to college.
We would have dropped out if it wasn't for the transportation and the housing.
When I was at school, I knew that I would have food, I would have like shelter, a place like to be under.
I know I can live better than this if I just stay focused and just pave my way forward.
But we're not helpless. It's just when we get the resources we need, we can make it work.
It's important to just stay focused on what really matters.
My long-term goal as of now is to go to college, get my degree in education, and then pass the LSAT, go to Harvard, and become a lawyer.
I think my first step is, I'm sure all colleges got mechanical engineering. My first thought is about, let me meet the coach, let me see what the basketball program is about, what they gonna do for me to help me so I can get to that next level.
Okay, so the biggest question, as teachers and future teachers, what can we do to help these students? We're going to see it, especially inside of the Austin area. We have a big homeless population, not just the people that we see under the bridge, not just the people that we see panhandling. A lot, when you have children, you automatically qualify for a shelter, and so we just don't see the children and adolescents that are homeless in Austin, but they are there. We will see it, especially if we teach inside of Austin. So, number one, ensure the basic needs are met. As teachers, we are on the very front line of these students. They see us more in their awake time than they see their parents. And so ensuring basic needs are met. Maslow's hierarchy of needs, the very first thing that students need is shelter, food, and water. And so if those aren't being met, they won't be able to progress in their life and physically and emotionally. So some things that we can do is make sure that they have food, they have water, have some snacks in your room, have some water in your room, stuff like that. Don't just offer it to those students, don't single them out. Make sure that there's enough for the whole class. I know that teachers don't get paid anywhere near enough, but this is something that students do need, and you can talk to administration about that. Complete an educational assessment. So So when you do see that when you recognize a student is in this population, you do need to see where they are academically, and if they need to be put on an IEP to get some extra help from federal, state, and local levels to ensure that they can keep progressing even through this really difficult time. Create a check-in for these students. When these students are recognized, you need to be checking in and not just doing an IEP, forget about it, do another one in 6 months. You need to be regularly checking in with these students and making sure that they are getting everything that they need and how their family is doing, how are they doing. Create a buddy system. This is another thing that I didn't really think of, but one thing that we can do, especially for the younger students, is make sure that they have a friend. Make sure that they have someone to hang out with and see, maybe on the playground, in groups. Make sure that they have people that support them and love them, not just teachers, so that they're excited to come to school and they're excited to get a break from a stressful lack of home life. Maintain structure in your classroom. So what does this mean? This means have a set schedule. Make sure that everything is predictable, and so that these students have something to know what's going to happen. Their lives are already very up in the air and they don't know what's going to be happening day to day. And so these things can really, if you have a class that is very kind of willy-nilly, oh, well, today we're going to do this or today we're going to do that, that can really be stressful for these students. Make time for assignments at school. This is another one that I didn't really think about, but if you give out homework and you know that you have students that are in this population or even not in this population, make sure that you have time that these students can do classwork or homework in your class and not stress about them taking something home where they don't have a place to do it, whether it's internet or books or wherever, or somewhere stable that they can just sit down and do their homework. Monitor their grades. Make sure this goes with check-in with your students and an educational assessment. Make sure that they don't go unnoticed. Make sure that they don't fall behind. Make sure that they don't fall between the lines. Make sure that they are keeping that attention from you and keeping the things that they should be doing. So, I did learn a lot from this. It's something that I haven't really thought about as a teacher, but I think it's something really, really important for us as future teachers to be able to provide for these students. So, thank you very much.